Hello everybody, and welcome to likely the final episode of Plants vs. Zombies 2 with only primal plants. Previously, we blazed right through the Dark Ages due to it requiring us to use a sun producer, but things quickly got difficult come Neon Mixtape Tour and Jurassic Marsh, with me having started to lose days several times before finishing them, meaning we were officially in a real challenge now, and had still had the other two of the hardest worlds on the game to finish off the challenge. Starting out in Big Wave Beach, we waste no time just breezing through the easy opening days just by spamming primal pea shooters. A conveyor belt level comes rather quickly early on, but guess what? It has the chomper in it, so thus we attempt it and honestly get through it rather easily. And continuing forward in Big Wave Beach, this is the world where Guacodile makes its appearance, and normally that would constitute its heavy usage, but even though it's think Guacodile is an okay plant, the problem is that with the fact that it's also technically a consumable plant, and given the fact that I'm already stretching what little sun I have thin, it's very unlikely to see much usage in this world. I mean, make no mistake, they can be planted in water, so I don't have to worry about lily padding them, but at the same time, they also can't shoot when they are in water. But for now, in the early to mid days, they were a completely viable strategy, and that's what I did, just punching through all the early to mid days without much issue at all. And in my defense, I was mostly just using Primal P here too, so it's not even like I was using only the most OP plants to win either, and we had won both a conveyor belt mission and a pre-picked plants mission thanks to Chomper coming into clutch on both occasions. I didn't think that a Chomper was competent enough to take down a Gargantuan, but even now I get surprised at some of the mechanics in PvZ too. Then we get to the first failure being day 15, where you protect a column of potato mines while a series of surfing zombies go and trying to crash into it. Normally this day causes like several failures on my challenge runs of Plants vs. Zombies 2, but this time around I am actually able to get through it as quickly as my third try. Granted, this third try also did involve me using Blast Spinner, but I'm at about halfway through the ladder of Big Wave Beach at this point. I can use the little tough guy now without feeling bad. And even more so, because of me using it this day, I actually came across a hidden downside of Blast Spinner, and that it can't instantly cocoon zombies if they are in the water because the cocoons are non-aquatic, so they function the same way that trying to place plants down do. Meaning, if it can't place down the cocoon, they can't be used. This was just the justification I needed for using the Weber main spider army for Big Wave Beach. Day 21 of Big Wave Beach was a cognito hazard that makes you forget about it as soon as you leave and stop talking about it. And moving on, wait, did we forget to do Big Wave Beach 21 again? For some reason, I always forget about that day. Anyways, another downside of Blast Spinner is that it doesn't appear to be able to break squid-coiled zombies, as it won't target them directly. Granted, the cocoon zombie bombs can target and destroy them, but that's very conditional. And because of this, a lot of these days start to get very, very close. And that becomes more evident with the introduction of the Fisher zombies. Fisher zombies being little assassins that stay at the far right end of the map and cast their fishing poles at the nearest plant, pulling them over one space each time. They can pull non-aquatic plants into the water, and if the plant is right next to them, then they pull them right off the screen, instantly terminating them. Even worse so, is since they are perpetually in water, Blast Spinners can't instantly cocoon them either, and since they don't move for primal peas, they don't really help much at all with their stuns either, leaving my really only options for getting them off the field as quickly as possible is Snake Lily's ultimate, or planting it close to the right lane, or Dragon Brute's ultimate too. The Fishers are not a big issue at this exact moment, but that will quickly change in one of the next upcoming days, which also happens to be the hardest day of this world, and possibly the entire challenge. But that being said, we are able to just continue punching through the Big Wave Beach days with significant resistance from the zombies, with most days taking out most of my mowers and almost all of my plants, but still being acceptable losses with my ability to just avoid lanes with Fisher zombies in them, as fortunately Fisher zombies are incapable of actually throwing a loss condition themselves, at least for now. We continue surviving, taking advantage of the Primal P counter pummeling the Estrogen Gargantuar into the pavement until we finally get to the day I was warning you all about, the day of which to guard a lane of Guacodiles for the entire time. This doesn't seem too hard at first, with even Guacodiles firing a few pellets, but quickly devolves into a nightmare when you realize that there are Fisher zombies on this day that are going to try and pull them over, and unlike other plants, Guacodiles will immediately evacuate if they are moved by a Fisher zombies, causing an instant loss. What this means is I will have to either puppy guard every single lane with other plants the whole time that are most likely non-aquatic, with my only way to get more lily pads being to plant food a plant that has one on them, or to instantly terminate the Fisher zombies before it can even cast its pull once. And seeing as how most of my plants can only severely affect zombies when they aren't in the water,
don't know how to deal with you.
My only option for taking them out fast is going to be Snake Lily. In hindsight, Dragon Brute might have been a good option too, due to when it dies it splits itself into 3 separate plants on the field, but Snake Lily remains the best possible option for getting in quick, as if I'm close enough to the right side, it can just cast a tornado without even having to plant food it. The problem is, with everything else coming, the limited sun cost, and the fact that most of the map is underwater half the time, this is significantly easier said than done. So much so that I spent over 20 tries on this day alone. I think that this is so far a new record, as for how many times I tried a day before either giving up or succeeding. Over that time too, I removed more and more restrictions, even busting out the emergency plan that I had in store, being the tiger grass. But even that wasn't helping me get through it. With pretty much every single one of my deaths being the fisherman, I almost broke the sun producer ban in order to get through this day, as I had pretty much broken every other ban, including that of tiger grass. But fortunately, tiger grass actually did manage to pull through for me, and because of it, they just barely saved me from having to use a primal sunflower, which still wouldn't be a loss on my part, but the game had successfully became hard enough to where we are now throwing almost everything we have at it. But after that extremely close fight, the last day of Big Wave Beach is survive with the given plants, and then it's fight Dr. Zomboss's shark girlfriend, and we are on to the modern day finale, which for some reason is also the homeworld of shadow plants. There's probably some scientific theory statement about dark matter and time travel in there, as this is where the adventure back in time started, but I already made a Plants vs. Zombies theory, we don't need another one just yet. Anyways, the gimmick for modern day is having both tombstones on occasion, but also, far more importantly, and also immediately, random butt cracks in time appear at certain stages of the day where zombies of another world will come in.
Before the final blow was low, I tore open a portal in time.
But since modern day also spawns zombies from every other world regardless, it's kind of the same thing except they're much closer. Still though, we have proven now that we have the tools for the job to deal with zombies from every other world, we just need to keep it together for the final laps of the journey. And for no reason in specific, especially considering I at this point in time have lifted the ban on any non-sun producer plant, I decided to randomly add another plant that you could possibly consider a primal or animal plant into the fold, being Maybe. It's a flower plant that shoots bees at zombies when they get near, that may or may not spread to other plants, and has a long wind-up time, so its DPS is actually rather bad. However, it does have this maybe glitch plus side that zombies seem to glitch out when they try to eat it, making this thing either extremely tanky or possibly even immortal with help of a plant like aloe. Still though, this thing also costs 300 sun, so in all honesty, even though I think this thing would be fun to have for a challenge in the future, it's pretty much useless here, especially this late in the game. I still tried to shoehorn it in, even though it was more like an added challenge than anything, but at the same time, I don't know if I would entirely count it as a primal or animal either, as it's just shooting out animals, but the Maybe isn't a primal itself, it looks like, which is the same reason why I didn't want to add turkey pult in, as it wasn't the turkey itself. Thus, I'll leave the answer to whether or not Maybe is to you, with my answer of if it's allowed or not being, of course, maybe.
Are you?
Anyways, we continue chugging through the opening days of modern day, with my only losses ironically being self-imposed due to Maybe being a resource sink. I'm gonna be honest, as an arthropod supremacist, this very much hurts me. I really wanted to make this work, but I just don't see this thing getting a return investment unless I treat it like a combat walnut, but at the same time, that's exactly what Kiwi Beast is for. So, moving on, I only added Maybe onto the field if I could absolutely afford it, but other than that, I quickly went back to using plants like Blast Spinner, who are first trying these days for me, even moving into the middle days, but at the same time, I didn't really see an alternative, except maybe Snake Lily, as the zombies were pretty much bringing everything they had at this point, and I felt like any form of me pulling punches would just immediately blow up in my face, causing a loss, and I would be back to the maybe question once again. But yeah, Blast Spinner was pivotal to my success in modern day, and seeing as how there were moments where I was struggling even with it, I felt mostly justified in using it, as some of these days I could tell just by looking that there was no fucking way it was happening. Anyways, we keep going, punching through most waves, with it usually being at least somewhat close, and since Primal Pants class a pretty relevant net for the last 3 worlds, I was even able to successfully complete some more of these conveyor belt and pre-picked plant waves, which was bonus to my overall success. All in all, things were looking very bright for the final act. We don't have our next loss until day 26, as I was trying to give more variety to my strategy, such as using only a Snake Lily and a series of Primal Peas to protect, which didn't work out this day, with the Disco Mech coming in to screw me. So we just come back with our Spider Boy and we get it easy. These Bejeweled missions are a virus and I hate them. I already made a theory that partially involved this game in Plants vs. Zombies lore. Leave me alone! Day 28 was a disappointment, not because it wasn't doable, but because I wanted to try and stall the last zombies for long enough using Primal Walnuts to see if I could do it even without using a Primal Sunflower for the sun production. Since it was a wizard, unfortunately, I couldn't stall it for nearly as long, thus I had to redo it with Primal Sunflowers. Is this doable without them? Probably, but I didn't really feel like redoing it again at this point. Whatever, I did conveyor belts and pre-picked, I'm not lazy. And day 29 is a bunch of tombstones placed at mildly inconveniencing locations on the map. Fortunately, these mild inconveniencing locations are only proved to be nothing more than a mild inconvenience to me.
Ah, what a mild inconvenience!
And then we get to day 30 of Modern Day, which some describe as the hardest day in the entire game, and I would somewhat agree, as it's protecting from trampling flowers, with all stars attempting to rush it the whole time, and even worse, some Gargantuars show up in the latter half on some villain shit, in groups greater than one on multiple occasions. Meaning, we need something to both destroy the Gargantuars as well as fast stopping power for all the other zombies. And as you might have guessed, the solution for this ended up being the Blast Spinner, with the entire successful run of this day taking less than 3 minutes, practically a speed run, and me getting it only on my 3rd try, so in regards to difficulty, day 30 of Modern Day was actually not that hard at all compared to day 30 of Big Wave Beach for Primal Plants. But with day 31 of Modern Day never even being remotely difficult compared to day 30, we were able to breeze right through it the first try, inviting our primal friend Tigergrass to do most of it for us and be in the thumbnail, leaving us with just exploding in Dr. Zomboss's mouth, and having finished the challenge of beating Plants vs. Zombies 2 with only Primal Plants. So, to answer the question, can you beat Plants vs. Zombies 2 with only Primal Plants? The answer is absolutely, both with expanded Primal Plants to extend to any remotely animal-like plants, or just the standard 4 Primal Plants is fine too. They are like the Summoners, rather powerful plants that can easily take on most any threat, but have the big problem of all of these plants costing a significant amount to place. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts as well as what you'd like to see next, both Plants vs. Zombies 2 and otherwise. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing, as among my channels I upload new long-form content every week, as well as new shorts every other day encapsulating variety content, including challenges, guides, memes, audience participation, playthroughs, and even theories. Also, join the Discord with the link in the description as well as the pinned comment to become part of the show. But with all that being said, thank you all again so much for watching, and big thank you to my channel and Patreon members, and I will see you all next time.